This is Rob Tappert for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined here in Las Vegas by Adam Blue Nose Lopez. We're here at the Wilder Fury 2 weigh-in. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here. First of all, before we get started, obviously I've just introduced you as Adam Blue Nose Lopez. Tell us about Blue Nose. Where did that come from? Talk to me about your nickname.
Blue Nose, when I was about 15, 16, I used to fight I would come forward a lot. My brother would call me he said I fight like a little pit bull. So he named me like a pit bull, and then my favorite color was blue. So he's like, all right, you're like a blue nose pit bull, and it kind of fit. It stuck. I liked it, and I just kept it and ran.
How many brothers have you got?
I got one brother, older brother.
He box? He used to box, right?
He used to box, recently stopped, and he's doing actually really good right now.
Now, obviously, you've shot to prominence recently, unfortunately coming up short against Oscar Valdez, but giving a very good account of yourself at short notice. But before we come on to that, let's talk a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you're from fighting stock. Your father, former Olympic silver medalist, former two-time world title challenger. Tell me a little bit about what boxing means to yourself and your family.
Boxing is like a family business to us. The Lopez name, we all fought. He fought his way into the country as a young boy, turned to boxing. He made a name from boxing, and I'm here to carry on his legacy, make my own legacy, and just have fun while I'm doing it.
Was that always the plan for you? As you mentioned, obviously he fought his way into the country and he had a successful amateur and professional career. Was it always going to be the plan for you to box?
Yeah, I mean, since I was a kid, that was on my mind. I want to be a fighter, just like my dad. I want to be a fighter. I'm gonna be a fighter. And my mom didn't like it. She put me through every single sport she could find in the community. I did them all. I was great at them all. And then I came to an age where I was like, Mom, I want to fight. Like, can I fight? And she allowed me to train about once a week. She was like, hopefully it gets out of his system. But it just lit a fire. And I wanted to keep doing it. And I knew it was what I wanted to do. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do, Mom. Like, I really want to do this. She's like, all right, if you want to do it, you got to do it right. Because this ain't a regular sport. You can get hurt, you need to take it serious, you need to train hard, and I learned that along the way. But when I started, I wanted to do it for my father, but as I got deeper and deeper into it, I was like, man, I got to do this for myself, because I'm the one getting hit, I'm the one cutting weight, dieting and running and doing all this, and I was like, you know what, I love doing it, but I got to do this for my name, for myself, and now I'm building my legacy.
What was it like growing up with an older brother who boxed as well? I'm sure that was quite interesting around the home sometimes.
Yeah, we trained together, we ran together, we pushed each other. If he was slacking, I'd get on him. If I was slacking, he'd get on me. We were a team, it was great, and we're still a team. He's my big support. He always helps me out no matter what. Whatever I need, he's got me, I know for sure.
Now, obviously, I've met you earlier on today. We went out for breakfast this morning with your lovely PR manager, Rachel Charles. We spoke earlier about an interview that you'd done with Boxing Social's Craig Scott, who's obviously the head of our writing team. A very, very revealing, in-depth interview about the relationship you have with your father. Now, I'll let you tell the story, but the relationship you have with your father is, let's say, an interesting one, a slightly different one than what certain people are accustomed to. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your backstory and your family history?
My father was, as you know, he was a fighter. He had a lot of problems in the streets. He got locked up a lot. He was in and out of jail when I was growing up. And he did a long stretch when I was about 4. He did a 9-year stretch in prison. So he got out when I was 13. He moved to Mexico. So me and my brother would go visit him, train with him, hang out with him. And then he passed away when I was 15. So I lost him early. He was young. And it was just a very tough loss for me, for the whole family, everybody around us. It was very tough. He was young, as I said, and it broke me down, put me in a hole, but I dig myself up, and boxing really helped me get back on my feet.
We hear that story a lot with fighters who suffer either losses or they come from humble beginnings. They look at boxing as like their way out and their saviour or something to keep them focused on. Is that what it was like for you when your father was having these issues and when he was away from you? Was boxing kind of your, not to be cheesy and use the cliche, but your salvation?
Yeah, because I was getting into trouble as a kid. When my father passed away, I really didn't care about anything. I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to just do whatever I want. I'm going to have fun with friends. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do this. And I was just getting in trouble. And I got to an age, I was still boxing at the time, but I wasn't taking it as serious as I should have. I was getting by because of my talent. I had natural talent. I was winning fights. I was doing good in the gym, but I wasn't as serious as I should have been serious. And I got to an age where I was like, all right, look, I'm almost 18. I got to ask myself, do I want to be a fighter or do I want to be this kid getting in trouble all the time? And I made the decision. I was like, I know I could do this. I got the talent, I got the heart, I got the dedication. I'm gonna take the harder path and make this happen.
Was there a specific moment in time where you thought, okay, right, I need to leave that alone? Was there a specific incident or something that happened that made you really focus on boxing and leave that part of your life behind?
It was just, I just got tired of what I was doing, and I mean, it was easy to keep doing what I was doing, but I was like, no, like, I don't want to do this my whole life. I don't want to, I want to be able to take care of my mom when I'm older and do things do whatever I want to do. Like, if I do this boxing stuff, I know I could be successful and I could do big things for the world and help people out, and there's so much more I could do with it.
What fighters inspired you growing up? Of course, obviously, besides from your father, who I'm sure you were extremely proud of for the successes he had in his career. But what other fighters did you look up to? Did you watch and take things from when you were growing up?
Growing up, I really didn't watch boxing much. My mom kept it out of the house. She didn't want me to watch it. But then as I started fighting, I looked up all the greats. Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns. All the people who were well known. I just watched them fight, and Floyd, of course. Like, as I was growing up, he was in his, doing his thing, making money, making a lot of money. I even today, I don't watch boxing too much. I watch the big fights. I like to attend big fights. When my friends are fighting, I'm there. I love to support. I love to go to amateur fights too. I'll go to the fights, but I'm not too involved in the boxing world. But I think a fighter that I did start watching that really inspired me was my coach, Buddy. Because before I met Buddy, I didn't know who Buddy McGirt was. When I met him, I thought it was just some fat dude just talking shit. And I was like, man, who is this guy? And then he started coming to our gym, and my former coach was like, you don't know who that is? I'm like, no, who is he? He's a two-time world champion. I was like, that's a two-time world champion? I was like, all right. So I YouTubed him. I saw his fights, and I was impressed. Off the bat, I was like, wow. So since then, I started just picking his brain and like, yo, how would you do this? How would you set this shot up? And he became someone I would watch on like almost every day.
Now, I sat down with Buddy the last time I was in Las Vegas ahead of Canelo Kovalev, and we did like a really long, in-depth interview. He's a very interesting man. Talking about him as a fighter, obviously he's a two-weight world champion, fought some great fighters, Hall of Famer. What specific parts of his game as a fighter impressed you, and what things did you want to take away from his style and implement into your own style?
The way he stayed very calm in the ring. He was always thinking. He was not an emotional fighter, as most fighters are. When you get hit, you want to get it right back. He would get hit, and he would take a step back and think, how did I get hit? Now let's eliminate that problem and move forward. All in a matter of seconds. He was a thinker in there, Not too many fighters nowadays think, and he's got the basic fundamentals that will make your career last like a Hopkins or something, He had the real fundamentals of boxing.
He's also a very funny guy as well, a very laid-back guy. What's it like dealing with him on a regular basis?
There's no dull moments. Every day we're laughing in the gym. He's always cracking jokes, He's a great guy, There's one of a kind. Like I said, we're always laughing in the gym, hanging out, and then when it's time to get to work, we get to work.
How has he helped you develop in the time that you've been with him? You've been with him for 3 years now?
About to be 4 years. He just showed me how to become a professional fighter, how to carry myself, how to handle certain situations. He helped me with the business side of boxing. As he saw, I was in bad side of the business, just taking bad fights, and he really helped me and opened up my eyes to look like this is how it's got to be. Don't take these fights for this much money. It's not worth it. Wait, take these fights, handle this like this, and get these sponsors and talk to this person. He was like a father figure for me as well. He just helped me become a professional boxer, I would have to say.
Considering what you went through with your father being incarcerated and unfortunately passing away so young, having somebody like Buddy McGirt, who is such a welcoming, warm-hearted person from my experience of dealing with him anyway, having that father figure, was that what you needed at that time? Do you feel like that's why you two have bonded and become close?
I would think so. I never really went out and looked for a father figure. I was like, these are my cards that I'm dealt with. I got to figure it out. And then when Buddy came along, it was just at the right time. He really helped me, motivated me to get back and just to dig deep and showed me what type of skills I had. And he really motivated me.
Now, as I mentioned earlier on in the interview, you kind of shot to prominence fairly recently as a late replacement, last-minute replacement for Oscar Valdez. Nice, easy walkover job for Oscar Valdez, just beat this late replacement guy, and then he ended up on the floor. Talk to me about that fight, and first off, how it came about, how you offered the fight, and how quickly did you agree to it?
They offered it right after I weighed in. I walked out of the weigh-in room. I walked out. I was saying what's up to my aunt. I was drinking some water, and then Rachel, my PR lady, grabbed me. And I was like, what the heck? And she pulled me in. She's like, they need to talk to you. I was like, okay. So I figured I had an interview to do or something. But then when I walked in the room, I saw Buddy's face, and he had like this weird look on his face. I was like, what's going on, Buddy? He's like, this is what they got on the table. And I was like, wait, what? Because I couldn't believe the other guy came in at 141. So I told him, I was like, yo, buddy, I could beat Oscar. I was like, I ain't worried about that. I could beat him. He's like, well, let's let your managers negotiate, see how it turns out. And he's like, let's go eat. We went to go eat, and I told him, like, yeah, let's take it. Boom, blew up like wildfire. It was going everywhere. My phone was blowing up nonstop. It was surreal at the time.
Considering it was such, I mean, there's last-minute replacements and then there's really last-minute replacements, which is what you were. What about Oscar Valdez? Obviously, Oscar Valdez has been some great fights. He's been a long-reigning world champion, very exciting fighter. As I said, a lot of people looked at it as, Adam Lopez was coming in at the last minute, and Oscar, just get rid of him, and then maybe he'll move on and fight Frampton or fight Bradshaw. But you said from the jump, I can beat Oscar Valdez. What was it about him, his style, and your style that made you so confident in taking the fight?
I've known Oscar for like 10 years. I met Oscar in Mexico City with my father. He was close with my dad. And my dad told me, he's like, look, that kid Oscar is going to be a world champion one day. But he looked at me and he said, but you're going to be better. Watch. And I've been following him. I've been following his career ever since. And I don't know, I just saw the way he fought. And I just knew, I was like, I could beat this guy. When he was at 126, I wanted to fight. I was like, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to challenge Oscar Valdez. He moved up to 130. I was like, all right, I'm never going to fight him again. And I was like, let's do it.
When you dropped him, what was going through your mind at that moment?
I was a little shocked. I was just like, all right, cool, I dropped him. I can't let that take over the emotions of the fight. I saw he was fine. His legs were under him, so I didn't want to rush him and waste no energy. And I saw the emotions in his mind flip. Like, he lost it. He was mad. He was coming forward, and in my mind, I was like, all right, I got him. He's out of his game plan. I got him. He's going to keep running into shots. And he did.
Now, of course, obviously the fight didn't quite go your way, but as we mentioned earlier on, I mean, your reputation severely enhanced. I'm sure I speak on behalf of Top Rank and all of the other guys who were involved in the fight in saying that you did save the show and save the card. After the fight, what was the reaction like, and how did your relationship with Top Rank change after the fight?
The next day, I got an email from Brad Goodman just giving me all the respect in the world and telling me that this is the year that the world is going to know who you are. So I took that like, all right, cool. Now they see what they got. They see what type of fighter I am, and they know that we can do big things.
Is that something that obviously you've done it already, but is that something that you would encourage other fighters? I mean, we're in an era now where social media and different routes and different sides of the street and all, there seems to be a lot of reasons for fighters not taking fights. We've seen recently Caleb Plant say that he couldn't take the Canelo fight because he didn't have enough time, 10, 11-week training camp. You've gone in there on, 10 minutes notice and boxed Oscar Valdez. What would you preach to other fighters, young fighters, about taking these opportunities when they're on the table?
I can't tell them to do it. I can only show you by example, lead by example, but you got to just feel it deep down, If you feel like you could do it, step up to the plate, It's going to be scary, it's going to be hard, you're going to be nervous. It's challenging, but you got to just have something deep down inside of you to be like, I could do this. You got to believe in yourself, you got to be positive, and that all comes from hard work. You got to train hard and believe like, I could put the work in. I could beat anybody they put in front of me.
And what did you take from the fight? How did you feel that you improved? What did you learn from the fight? I mean, sharing a ring with a top-class fighter, a world champion fighter like that in such a strange kind of scenario leading into the fight, I'd imagine you took a lot from that.
I think it just confirmed to myself that I got what it takes to be at that top level. Because I know I got talent and I got skill, but sometimes I'm like, man, can I mess with these top guys? And that just told me, like, you got it. You could handle it, no problem. But I did learn a lot. Not the fight, the day before the fight, the build-up, the amount of interviews and photo shoots, you got to have energy for that. And that's something that I learned, I took away from that. Like this fight, I'm sure Deontay and Tyson are tired. They don't want to do no more interviews, but it takes a lot of energy, and you got to be calm, and you got to be carrying yourself the right way, and that's a lot of what I learned. That's that next level,
Well, hopefully they want to do one more each with me, but we'll see about that. Before I let you go, we spoke about it briefly over breakfast. What's the future like for Adam Lopez? I know that you would like the Oscar Valdez fight. Whether or not he would like the rematch is another question, but what does 2020 bring for Adam Blue Nose Lopez?
Yeah, I don't think the Valdez fight's on the table anytime soon. I got a fight April 11th at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. I believe I'm the co-main event. We're fighting for the NABF title, so I win this belt. I get ranked in the top 10 and defend it a few times and hopefully go for a title eliminator or something big at the end of the year. I want something big at the end of the year, big name, big fight, hopefully be a main event and sell some tickets.
Okay, well, I do hope it comes off for you. Adam Lopez, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Congratulations on really taking your opportunity. As I mentioned earlier on in the interview, it's not something that every fighter would be willing to do. You stepped up to the plate, and while you didn't get the result, you're reaping the rewards now. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social, and I look forward to catching up with you soon and following your career.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
That was great.